Good day, owners, and welcome down to the Commission's Cave as we wrap up week 11, take a peek out at week 12, and go over this week's top fantasy players. First off, we'll shout out to the CFL as we see our beloved Calgary Stampeders heading off to Toronto Sunday to take on the Ottawa Redblacks. So double throat with the Stamps and for Henry and the Redblacks on the back. So that'll be on Sunday. We'll PVR that so it doesn't get in the way of some real football, and then maybe catch up on that on Monday morning. Anyways, week 11 recap. We got a pretty good weekend of football again, some pretty good exciting games. Patriots came back with their loss over Seattle for a win for me, and we saw Huey's Hogs probably cheering on the Redskins there as they kind of blew out their opponent this week, Green Bay, in a great game there too. We saw two matchups decided on Monday Night Football this week. Unlike last week, we had two blowouts, and we had three matches decided by less than 10 points. So some good matchups this week as we get close to the end of the regular season, and the playoff picture is still flopping around between four teams on the bottom two playoffs. Playoff hopes were dashed for Huey's Hogs this week as we see our champ out of the playoffs more than likely. And we also see the four teams battling for those last two playoff spots at the bottom. Injuries raised its ugly head again this week. We saw A.J. Green and Cutler, quarterback for Chicago, go down with pretty much season-ending injuries for both of those gentlemen. A.J. Green might make it back for the end of the regular season, but it'll be when our season's probably over. And we also see Andrew Luck out this Thursday with the concussion. I also lost Giancarlo Bernard, my running back, and I also lost Zach Miller, my tight end, due to injuries this week as well. So let's just jump into week 11 in review. We have game one. We had Tuskegee Mayhem came into Hogtown with a chance to play spoiler to any outside chance of Huey's Hogs making to the playoffs. No one had a great game on both teams as the high-scoring players on both sides put up 17 points. Monday night's 10 points from DeAndre Hopkins was enough for Mayhem to get the victory in this 111.5 to 105.5 win. Andy Dalton led Mayhem with 17 points. However, his other quarterback, my quarterback on the bench, Jameson Winston, put up 25. And on the other side of the field, we saw LeGarrette Blount put up 17 points as well. Both owners' higher scoring players, as mentioned, they sat on our benches. And luckily for me, the ref's bad call, if you saw the Monday night game, Hopkins had a opening drive, like touchdown catch of 60 yards. He was running along the sideline. He was probably 3 or 4 inches in bounds, and he stumbled. And the ref blew the whistle, called him out of bounds, and they called back the touchdown. So big points pulled off the board for me, but the 10 he did pick up was enough to come from behind on Monday night and take the game there. Matchup number 2. We see Mac Daddy's threw up a roadblock to the Canadian Assassins playoff run. Mac Daddy took a 112 to a 98.5 point victory win there. Russell Wilson got 25 points in the win for Mac Daddy, while the Assassins were led by Theo Riddick, running back in Detroit, who put up 16 points. The Bents once again did the Assassins in as the Washington Redskins game against the Packers put up some great fantasy points, and left her with two players totaling 69 points from that game sitting on the bench, which would have been enough for her to get the win and keep her in the playoffs. But now she's on the outside looking in, so we'll see how that goes. Game number 3 is another close one that was decided on Sunday. Conley grabbed the win over Too Tired, 128 to 120, and moved him into the final playoff spot for now. Conley was led by his defense as the Minnesota Vikings put up 23 points in that game, and Aaron Rodgers on the other side for Too Tired put up 40 points in that Washington Green Bay game, but it wasn't enough for him to come up and try to play spoiler on Conley's hopes. Game number 4. We saw Missing Megatron Johnson finally got his right lineup in on the field as he trounced Forsey's Fockers 178.5 to 138. Missing Megatron Johnson was led by Tom Brady, 41 points there, while Forsey's Fockers got an impressive 43 points from Kirk Cousins. but in the loss, Des Bryant and the Detroit defense were the difference in this matchup as they put up 20 plus points for missing Megatron's Johnson. So congratulations to Johnson for this week's high score and his $10 win with his 178.5 points. Coming out of the basement, not bad, Chris. Game number 5 is our dog of the week, and that would be Mean Green Machines battling the injury bug. Posted this week's lowest score as he fell 177.5 to 160 to a surging Lucas Kickers. With the Gronk out and AJ Green going down for the season on the second play from scrimmage, MGM struggled with running backs putting up 0 points and a flex gave him 1 point. MGM slips out of the playoff pictures this week. Lucas, however, put up solid numbers and appears to be peaking at the right time of the season. MGM was led by Richard Matthews, who Tennessee wide receiver, put up 26 points for him. Well, Lucas got 38 points from the ever-dependable Le'Veon Bell, running back in Pittsburgh. The 82.5 win margin makes this game the dog of the week. And on to our game of the week, which I called last week. This was the battle of the number 1 position. We had number 1 and 2. Didn't disappoint with this matchup. And we also saw 2 lead changes on Monday Night Football. Steel Curtain took the victory over Jethro, 131 to 125.5. Steel Curtain was led by the Arizona running back again, David Johnson, who put up 39 points, while Jethro got 23 points from Lamar Miller on Monday Night Football. Dak Prescott was on his bench, who put up enough points there that if you had started him over Drew Brees, it would have gotten him the win. If you are keeping score this week, the East Division won 5 out of our 6 matches against the West this week, kind of the opposite of the CFL. So with that win, Steel Curtain now moves into the number 1 position in the league, and right behind him we have Jethro's Heroes and Mac Daddy's Madhouse at 8-3. Cheers. So moving on, we have top 5 players of the week. Number 5 comes in as Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh running back, 38 points, Lucas Kickers. Number 4 was David Johnson, Arizona running back. He put up 39 points for Steel Curtain. Number 3 was Aaron Rodgers for Green Bay quarterback. He put up 40 points for Too Tired. Number 2, Tom Brady, New England quarterback, put up 41 points for missing Megatron's Johnson. And the number 1 fantasy player of the week, who probably hasn't seen this position in a long time, if ever, is Kirk Cousins. He's the Washington Redskins quarterback. He put up 43 points for Forsey's Flockers. No wide receivers in the top 5, so first wide receiver comes in as Pierre Garçon, a wide receiver for the Washington Redskins. He sat on the Acadia Assassins bench. He put up 33 points. The top tight end was Jared Cook for Green Bay. He put up 26 points sitting on the waiver wire. The top defensive player was Xavier Rhodes, a Minneapolis cornerback. He put up 20.5 points. He sat on the bench, he was on waivers as well. The top defensive player was the Steelers. They put up 24 points in their game against Cleveland, and they were also on the waiver wire. And the top kicker was Roberto Aguayo, Tampa Bay. He finally did something. If you've been watching this kid's career, he was drafted in the 2nd round of the playoffs, or the draft this year, and he got up 14 points. So the top 5 of the wide receiver, tight end, defensive player, defense, and kicker either sat on a bench or they weren't even out there. So no points generated for any of those guys on anybody's lineups. Okay, heading into week 12. Our matchups for week 12, we see Tuskegee Mayhem 3-8 takes on Forsey's Fockers at 6-5. Can the Mayhem play playoff spoiler once again? The Fockers need to win at least 1 win here in the next 2 games to stay in the playoff picture. And so hopefully he should be able to grab 1 win here, hopefully. Julio Jones is back off of the bye last week. And Mayhem, I've lost both my tight end, Zach Miller, and my running back, Gino Brevard, to injuries this weekend. So I look at the Fockers' chances to win this one pretty good. So I'm going to take the Fockers in this one. Keep that in mind, though. I took Huey to beat me last week, and we saw what happened there. So we'll see how that goes. Second game we're going to look at, Connolly's Crusaders 6-5 sits where the Assassins 5-6 want to be in that last playoff spot. So this could be the Assassins' only hope for a playoff spot. Big Ben needs to bounce back from on Thursday. Well, Connolly has lost luck to a concussion, and it looks like Stafford will be his starting quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott needs to bounce back from a lackluster week last week, but I think Connolly's Crusaders' luck has run out, and I'm going to take the Assassins in the win for that game. What else we got here? Game number 3, we're going to call it Steel Curtains 9-2, is running on a 8-game winning streak as he plows into Too Tired, who's sitting at 3-8. The Curtain has a lot of skin in the games in the Arizona, Atlanta, and the Carolina Raiders games. So hopefully these games will pay off for him. Too Tired will have Rodgers in Philly, and a guy will hopefully tear it up against San Francisco's defense down in Miami. All that taken into effect, I'm going to say Steel Curtain takes this one though. Okay, our next game, number 4 here, we got Missing Megatron's Johnson 3-8, tackles Jethro's Heroes at 8-3. The quarterback battle here should decide the outcome of this matchup, as we have Tom Brady heading into New York to take on the Jets, and Drew Brees is hosting the LA Rams. Both should fare well, but weather in New York could play a factor in the Brady's game. With Missing Megatron's Johnson having 3 main players in Thursday afternoon's game, the fate for his outcome should be decided by Thanksgiving evening. Will Jethro fight for first place, or will he just coast into the playoffs heading in the wrong direction? I'm taking Missing Megatron's Johnson in the upset in this week's win. Game number 5. This could be MGM's Mean Green Machines sitting at 5-6, last shot at a playoff spot, with a must-win over Huey's Hogs at 4-7. With the Hogs playoffs picture all but closed, can he take on the role as spoiler? With a questionable Gronk and no AJ Green, MGM will be looking for a shootout in Atlanta. Will the Hogs need to decide to either go with Flacco or Rivers? Neither one of these are really hot-handed quarterbacks. With Blunt and Brown, could be enough to make the difference for this one. I'm going to take the Hogs over the greenless Mean Machine. Game number 6 sees Mac Daddy 8-3. Could make the playoff pictures cloudy for Lucas 6-5 with the win this week. Mac Daddy has a chance to be number 1 overall with a 2-win finish to the season, while Lucas is hanging on to the last of the 2 playoff spots. This could be the game of the week. Le'Veon Bell will set the tone on Thursday Night Football, while Frank Gore will have to match on the opposite side of the ball. With Andrew Luck out, Gore may see the ball a bit more. Could be a difference. Another matchup will be is Mike Evans. If he can get any points against Seattle's secondary, and we all know Sherman will have something to say about that. With that said, I think Lucas will continue to roll and take the win. Last week, Kamish went 3-6 in his picks. ESPN went 4-6. And we'll just take a quick look at the playoff picture here. We still have the buys for Jethro and Steel Curtain. And then the matchups sitting there for the other. We see Forcey's Fockers right now would be taking on Lucas, and Mac Daddy would take on Connolly. Connolly and Lucas, with the same record, are sitting in the 5th and 6th spot in the playoffs. And that could change depending on win or losses this next couple of weeks. So that's the battle to watch. Okay, moving on to the games next week. Remember, Thursday is Thanksgiving. It's been brought up here a few times. So we got 3 games on Thanksgiving. We got a 10:30 a.m. start for the Vikings and the Lions. We got a 2:30 start for the Redskins at the Cowboys. And we got a 6:30 start for the Steelers and the Colts. Game start 10:30. Pub doesn't open the doors till 11. We found that out a couple of years ago. We went there trying to get in. It didn't work. So Last Straw Pub up here in Tuscany. So we'll see who popped by. I'm going to send out, when I send out the emails with this video notice, if you could reply with that, whether you're planning to come part of the day, maybe just for dinner, might pop in at lunch in the afternoon. We'll see how it's going. Right now, I think we got 2 of us that will be there all day, so we'll see how it goes. So keep me posted if you're going to drop by. Keep an eye out for you, and we'll try not to get too inebriated, so we'll recognize you when you show up. Anyways, hopefully we'll see some or most of you at the pub. Like we said, somebody should be there right through till they know the last play on the third game. Monday Night Football should be a good one. We're going to see the Packers take on the Eagles. And also to let you know that next week is our last $10 prize for highest score, as only 12 teams in the league. We've only collected $10 for each week, so our week 13 will be no points money for that one. And as a reminder, only 2 weeks left in the regular season. And Sunday also, keep an eye out as the Calgary Stampeders take on the Ottawa Red Blacks in Toronto at BMO Field. Anyway, take care. Have a good week. Hopefully we'll see you Thursday at the pub. If not, take care. We'll talk to you again after the weekend, and we'll have a look at the playoff picture then and see where it's shaping up to be. Salute.